today's class number 3. Class number 3 is how we generally go over a few specific things. We talked today about your diet. We talked today about where you are right now with your quitting process. We talked to you about how to stay focused on the quitting process so that you can continue to be a non-smoker or aim yourself towards being a non-smoker more efficiently. So I'm going to teach the first portion, and Candace is going to teach the second portion of this class because she's the dietitian. So, okay, so I gave you guys some papers. The papers that I handed out have to do with your quitting plan. I talked to you guys a lot about last time about having a plan that helps to focus you, that helps to kind of give you some ideas on what you're going to do in case something happened. You know, what would you do in that scenario? So a lot of us are people who like to smoke in the car, or a lot of us are people who like to smoke in the house, or with food, or with a beverage. What I have on this paper is, instead of smoking while I'm in my car, I'm going to do this instead. So this is almost like a little contract with yourself. Take a minute to knock out what you think you can do, and I'm going to give you some suggestions of alternative activities that are still positive for you. So let's kind of think about what an alternative activity is. Alternative activities mean you're doing something instead of this. So instead of smoking, I'm going to do this. But we want to make sure the alternative activity is healthy or positive, not negative. So you wouldn't stop smoking but then start drinking more, because that would be negative. So we want to do something that's going to be positive, that's going to help you to stay glued with where you need to be. But we're doing more than that. We're also bringing you an expert. This lady right here has taken a class like this before, used the medication, and quit smoking. So some of what we want to talk about has to do with suggestions I'm going to give you, but then I also want her to be able to give you an opportunity for her to give her story. You know, she used many of these ideas right here that we're talking about on the paper, but she may have some additional things to add. So it's going to be her turn in about 5 minutes, but I just wanted to introduce you to our guest speaker. So I want to talk to you for a minute about how you're doing on your current plan. So at this point in the class, you should be almost smoke-free, if not smoke-free. What we're asking for you to do is to take your previous life and adjust it. We're asking you to transform yourselves from a smoker to a non-smoker. So it's not always black and white. There's a lot of gray involved with how we're going to do that. We gave you guys, each of you, a medication to take. The medication options work really well for some people. They don't work really well for other people. Sometimes when we have issues on the medication that we issue you, that's where you talk to me about that, then we can adjust it to something different. So what I want to go over is the basic concepts of what the medication is supposed to do for you at this stage. Okay? At this stage, you've been on the medication for about a week or longer. At this stage, the medication should be making you not want to smoke as much. At this stage, you should have been reducing your cigarettes from 20 cigarettes a day down to a day to be down to a quit day, which was supposed to be today. For you, I think it was last Sunday. So we're all trying to get down to where we're either becoming less of a smoker or a non-smoker by today. So where are we if we're not 100% smoke-free today? We have a few left maybe we're trying to beat off, okay? So what we want to do instead of being upset about that is we want to think about, okay, now I'm down to 10 or now I'm down to 13. What am I going to do now? Okay, so how do we get from 13 to 0? Some ideas are to think about when you need them during the day. Think about what you're doing right now. During the day right now, how many cigarettes are we smoking that we actually need? Are we smoking cigarettes because we're bored? Are we smoking cigarettes because it's a habit? Are we smoking cigarettes because you're angry, frustrated? Is something going on that's causing that? And maybe we can pinpoint when it is. So the contract that you have in front of you helps you to kind of isolate down what you're going to do when you're faced with specific scenarios, but obviously I can't list all of them there, right? So the one I didn't list down there is, what do you do when somebody approaches you and says, hey, can I bum a cigarette? Or what do I do over here? What I like to do is give people about 10 really good plans, or 10 really good things to throw in your plan so that you kind of have an idea of how you should be approaching things. So instead of smoking, you can exercise. Instead of smoking when you're bored, you can read. Instead of smoking, you can or instead of smoking with a beverage, you can instead try drinking water. Try drinking something that's going to hydrate you, that's going to make you feel good, or give you the same sort of feelings that the cigarette gave you. Okay? You can eat a little piece of chocolate. You can do several things to help you reduce your desire to want to smoke. So we just kind of have to decide how we're going to handle that and make sure that we have a plan. And I want you to write your plans down so that you can meet that plan. I always do that. Excuse me. Okay, so a person who has had a plan in the past is this lady right here. So I'm going to bring her up here in a few minutes so she can get a chance to kind of go over with you what she did on her steps and to show you that it is possible for a person to be a non-smoker after being a smoker for a matter of years. Sergeant Howell is definitely one of our guest speakers regarding this. She came last class, and she's really good at what she does. So at this time, I'm going to introduce you to Sergeant Howell.
Hi. Gentlemen, congratulations on your decision to stop smoking, and the best of luck. Great job, and as he said, my name is Angie Howell, and I smoked for about 22 years, and I quit smoking on October 10th, 2007. Excuse me, 2006 was my quit date. And the reason I come in here is because I went through one of these classes up in Alaska when I quit smoking, and for me, talking to an ex-smoker was really helpful because I could actually reach out and touch somebody that had actually done it. Because I know this is a very hard thing to do, but it can be done. And so I thought, well, if there's anything that I can give you today, any information, any tip that helps you, then that makes me feel good. But ultimately, this is your decision, and obviously you're going to have to do this on your own, but having support is really important. I had some friends that really helped me out too. So I was asked to talk about my plan and what I did instead of smoking. I was in Alaska in the dead of winter when I quit smoking. So some of these things didn't apply for me up there, but would definitely apply here. One thing that I would encourage you to do, like throughout the day, when you would normally get up to go have a smoke break, I would get up and I would go every hour. I don't know how often you smoke, but I smoked about once an hour. It was time, 1 hour would go by, it was time to go get my fix, man. I had to go have a smoke. So I continued to do that after I quit smoking. I continued to get up and leave my work area and just go take a little walk. And at first I went out to the smoking area and I would talk to people, hey, how's it going? I'd get that residual, smoke or whatnot, and then I would go back and continue my day. And it was almost just like I had had a smoke. And that was very helpful to get up and just take a walk around. There's nothing wrong with that. Continue to do that if you're able to do so, because right now, and maybe they talk to you about this, but how long have you been smoking, sir? Can I ask?
40-some years.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you've been smoking a hot minute then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and sir, how about you?
About 15 or 16 years.
15 or 16 years. Okay, so it's taken you 40 years, and it's taken you 15 or 16 years to program your brain into being a smoker. And when you like to have your cigarettes, when you get into your vehicle right after you eat, whatever it is that you're doing, you have programmed your brain to do that activity, just like I did. We all do. It becomes not only an addiction, but a habit as well. So now what you're going to do is you're just going to reprogram your brain by doing something different. That's the way it was explained to me when I went through the class, is okay, instead of reaching for a smoke, I'm going to do something else because I'm reprogramming that hard drive inside my head. And that really helped. Let's see, my short-term goal, I haven't seen this before, so I'm going to go ahead and read off of this. When I remembered why I was quitting, what I did is I posted up, I had a couple of Post-its, like at work and at home, reminding myself of why I was quitting. And I had like 4 or 5 reasons or whatnot. And I would read that and give myself, give that oomph. Okay, this is I know it's a little bit hard, but this is why I'm doing it, and it's gonna work out. My short-term goal, basically what I did is I counted every half hour. Psh, woo! I made it an hour. I made it, another half hour. What I did is I had my last cigarette at night. And using some psychology on myself is, my last smoke was at night, so that way when I woke up the next morning, I already had, 8 or 9 smoke-free hours ahead of me, And I remember the first day was really easy until the withdrawal hit that night, and that was pretty unpleasant for me. But I don't know where y'all are at that stage, but that was really difficult for me. But to get through the cravings. My long-term goal, of course, was to have a complete tobacco-free life, because I know that at no time in my life ever again can I ever touch alcohol or tobacco ever. I can't have a cigar. I can't, because I'm gonna be right back where I was, as if I had never quit. So that for me is my goal, is just never touch tobacco again. When I would wake up in the morning, I never had the habit of waking up and then going to have a smoke. I had to be up for a little while before I would smoke. Some people, that's the first thing that they do when they wake up, is roll for that cigarette. And I was never like that. I had to kind of wake up. So for me, that was not an issue. When I was driving in a car, that was a hard thing for me, because I don't know about you all, but as soon as I hop in there, stick the keys in the ignition, it's time to light up a smoke and then drive. And so somebody had suggested to me to get a little pack of my favorite candy and stick it in the passenger side, and then every time it was time for me to smoke, I would go get a candy, and that worked really well. Whatever it was, just to have something, lollipop or something to kind of remember, reprogramming that brain. And then, of course, I talked about work. Again, continue to get up and take a walk around as if you were taking a smoke break. That helped me a lot. Just to get up and because I know I was real antsy for a while, and so just to be able to get up and walk was really helpful. After eating a meal, for me, that was the hardest. I always had a smoke after and that was the hardest one for me. And that really was hard. So what I would do is get up and take a walk. It's beautiful outside. We're here in Florida, especially now. Take a walk around the block. I noticed right before I quit smoking, and this is one of the reasons why I quit, is I was having trouble breathing, and I was starting to have chest pains, which frankly scared the crap out of me, and was a good incentive for me to quit. So what I did, whenever I got a really strong craving, somebody gave me the suggestion, and it worked, is I practiced taking really, really, really deep breaths as far as I could go and trying to expand my lungs as much as possible, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a head rush, which turned out to be kind of a nice little replacement for having to smoke. Plus, it was helping clear out my lungs and helping me be able to get all that stuff out of there. So I would sit at my desk and taking as much air as I possibly could and let it out, and it really helped. So that's something else you could consider doing if it's not on your list already, if somebody else hasn't already told you about it. But always have a plan for when you're going to get hit by that tobacco. Being bored, and I'm bored really easily. So I had to really come up with doing anything besides smoking, anything at all. And drinking, for those of you who like liquid libations, which is me, for the next while, if you do drink, I would really highly recommend that you don't drink for a little while. Get through this worst stage before you go to alcohol, because it takes away all your inhibitions, makes me 10 feet tall and out, bulletproof or whatever. Oh, I can handle it, blah, blah, blah. And that's one reason why people go back to smoking is they go to alcohol too quickly. So maybe if that's you, then maybe you might want to limit that for a little while. And then when I'm surrounded by people who smoke, I leave. Right now, I'm at the point where I can't stand the smell, and so I get into an area where I can't smell it or whatnot. So I'd like to share with you that when I did quit smoking, I was on Chantix for a while. I heard you say earlier that it was giving you some problems. Mm-hmm. I know for me, I was only able to take it for a certain amount of time. I think it was about 6 weeks or so, mm-hmm. And for me, the nausea really it just kind of increased over time to where I just couldn't take it anymore. And I'm sorry to hear that you're having problems with it, because it really is a good product. Are you taking this? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, for as long as you can, I highly encourage you to take it if you're not having any problems with it, because it's very, very helpful. I noticed a big change when I came off the Chantix. Some of the cravings started coming back a lot harder. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and it was okay, I mean, it was manageable, but I encourage you to stay on it as long as you can, because it really will help you